Hello and welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. I am Paula Denoncourt, your host, founder, and CEO of Enrich Your Health. I started this show because I feel like people's stories really need to get out there. I suffered from multiple allergies myself. I am a holistic health coach. Been doing my business since about 2010. I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and speaking engagements, and now my own TV show. So I've had guests on here that have had things like congestive heart failure, cancer, autoimmune issues, mold toxicity. So we've had all kinds of guests. So if you have not watched the show, please go back and watch some of the replays. Make sure you're giving Elevation TV Network some love on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe to their channel, even if you're not on it, because we do our broadcasting on other channels as well. So please give them some love on YouTube. You can also like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that's under Enrich Your Health, ENRICHURHEALTH. I am available for one-on-one coaching, group coaching. I've got some customized recipes that I can do for you if you have food allergies, food sensitivities. So if you can't eat dairy-free, gluten-free, all of that type of stuff, I'm your girl. I've been there. So I can help you with that. Or if you're a practitioner and you have clients, I definitely want to partner with you to help your clients or patients with recipes. And full disclosure, not medical advice, not meant to be treat, heal, or cure any illness on the show or mitigate any illness. Just full disclosure for that. And I am just really excited for my guest today. I've just been putting LifeWave patches in the business spotlight and learning more about it. I am so excited. I've been helping Robin Jelinek Yamamoto with LifeWave patches, and we have Renita Brannon here from LifeWave patches, who's going to tell us a little bit about herself and how she got into LifeWave patches, and a little bit about Robin and how it's helped Robin. So I am so excited to have you. So thank you, Renita. And without further ado, we'll put up your bio and let everybody know a little bit about you, because you've got an amazing background.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. I love everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for being a lighthouse. We need more people like you in the world right now. So what you're doing is God's work, and it's definitely helping people to realize they can take back their power and get well. So thank you. Yeah, I always think it's important when you are learning, like, who's teaching me, right? So just a little bit of background of myself. I am a child of God. I am a mom. I'm a wife. I have 3 sons, 24, 17, and 15. We've got a big old girl dog named Nike. My background's actually in physical education and business, but for 8.5 years, I was the NBC health and fitness expert on television. I had my own segment called Wellness Wednesday. In addition to that, I was the morning co-host on their NBC affiliate up here. And that was all until the crazy, wild last 5 years. And with that, everything shifting, then the media really took a different stance. And it was not a stance that I believed in. I just believe in freedom. I believe in the ability to choose. And they were not offering that. It was a kind of a single message they were trying to get out there. And it was a lot of fear, and it was a lot of, you got to get this poke, you got to do this. And I was not into that. So after 8.5 years, I was no longer part of that. But I believe God leads us glory to glory. And so I believe that God was making room for LifeWave, because now I've got to do presentations literally all over the world. And we're helping so many people because, of course, LifeWave, the phototherapy patches, are available in over 80 countries, Paula. So it's been a huge blessing. But, my background is I'm a certified personal trainer, lifestyle weight management consultant, group fitness instructor. I've helped the state of North Dakota to actually lose 100,000 pounds of fat. So I'm really big I went to all the Native American reservations and actually educated those populations about how to take control with diabetes. And so I knew that we were making a dent when I got called one day from the Bureau of Indian Affairs from Washington, D.C. And they said, "What on earth are you doing with those natives? We've had so many reversals and so many people reduce the amount of insulin and metformin that they're using, and your name keeps coming up." And so I was simply traveling to all the reservations throughout the state and educating not only the parents, but the grandparents, the children, the great-grandchildren. We had gymnasia full of people that were trying to take control of their health. So I've been at it a long time, 25 years. It's interesting because I feel like I'm in my 20s. So I feel like the patch has been a blessing for me to just restore my own health. But that's kind of my background, Paula. Really everything from incredible athletes. All of my boys are incredible athletes, all the way up to Delay the Disease, which is a program for those with neurodegeneration like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia. So my mom was actually diagnosed with Parkinson's about 7 years ago. And that's actually what got me started with LifeWave, to be honest with you. When you asked like kind of how it began, I got started because like you, I was in the trenches seeking solutions for my mother's health. You know, we had originally taken her down to Mayo Clinic, and pretty much with Parkinson's, it's a diagnose adios type deal. You know, there's not solutions that they're offering. When I asked about nutrition, they had no idea. They're like, we don't do that here. And so I left there thinking, well, there's got to be something. And so I've really been on the search. And I really believe when you seek, you will find. And so that's been my journey with natural health and healing. So long story short, we've tried a lot of modalities and a lot of them have been awesome. But about 20 months ago, a friend of mine who was a nurse up in Canada, she had escaped that corrupt, broken system up there and got out of the hospital setting and was doing things independently with emotion code and body code. And she actually called me up one day and she said, hey, Renita, you got to try these patches on your mom. And I said, what patches? And she said, it's a phototherapy patch. She said, I'm just going to send them to you. She said, my neighbor lady actually experienced miracles with these patches. And I said, well, Doris, you had me at miracle lady. Tell me more about it. And so Doris sent the patches. We started patching my mom. And to be really honest with you, I didn't even know what I had my hands on, Paula. Like, I didn't understand it like I understand it now. Like, you know, I would say the longer you're, you know, engulfed in something, the sharper you get in it. So here I am 20 months later, and now I think everybody on the planet should be wearing these patches. But I want to share with you, like, I want to share a picture of my mom so you guys can see kind of how my journey began.
Please do.
Her. You bet. And so again, I also want to say that the patch doesn't treat, cure, or prevent any disease, right? The bottom line is I feel like God heals our bodies when our bodies are in the right circumstances, when we're removing the energetic blocks, when we're feeding it the right nutrition, when we're getting the proper movement and breathing and all of it, and proper sunshine, right? All these things are so important. So I want to start by saying the patch doesn't treat, cure, prevent disease. Unfortunately, at this point, only the pharmaceutical industry can tell you that they treat, cure, prevent disease, right? I mean, that's so interesting that the pharmaceutical industry can even say that. They can do that because we know it's such a mess. But this is kind of why we got started. I am a health advocate for my aging mom and my parents, and I hope that your viewers are as well, because I feel like that population needs help. You know, they are at the mercy of their doctors. That was the generation that trusted whatever their doctor said, right? And I am here to tell you, we have got to help that generation take back their power, because every day I visit with people. I have a gal on my LifeWave team. Her mother was in the nursing home in her early 90s. She was about 100 pounds, and they had her elderly mother on 38 medications.
Oh my goodness.
Most I've ever heard. I've heard 21 before. I've never heard 38. So my friend said she went in there. Her mom was not even coherent. She wasn't making any sense. And, you know, I just think, how do we get to a point in the medical system? It's not healthcare, because there's no health happening in the system, right, guys? That's the medical establishment, and it's a juggernaut. But what I thought to myself when I heard that is, how does a medical doctor get to 38 medications for a 90-year-old person that's 100 pounds and have a clear conscience? How does that happen? I mean, think about this, Paula. I mean, 5 is a lot of medications. That's polypharmacy at 5, right? They don't even know the chemical reactions happening within the body. 7 is a lot. 9 is a lot. 11, 12, 13, 20, 21. How does a doctor get to prescribing a patient 38 medications with a clear conscience? I do not understand it. So, with that being said, everything changed for my mom. It was the 11th day. I went down to her house, and my mom, who normally uses the walker every single morning until 11 a.m., was walking freely through the kitchen, no walker. And she said, hey, Nita, do you want me to make you some eggs? And I was like in shock. I was like, how in the world are you walking like that? And my dad was sitting at the kitchen table, and I knew, Paula, because I'm very involved with my aging parents, right? With my family's health. So I knew exactly the change, the only change that we had done, which was put this LifeWave patch on my mom, right? I mean, nothing else had changed. It wasn't supplementation change. It wasn't a medication change. It was literally, we put a patch on and she had been wearing it, 12 hours on, take it off, put a fresh patch on for 11 days. That's what we had been doing. And at the same time, my dad was actually sitting at the kitchen table and he was dealing with these legs that you see here on the left. I mean, they were angry, oozing, goozing.
Oh, that looks like heart.
I mean, do you see those legs?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about this is we went to his heart doctor, kidney doctor, everything inpatient, like in-house settings with Stanford, Stanford, like the hospital setting. We went to the University of Minnesota. Like we were going to all these people to try to figure out what was going on with his legs. He had gone to 12 different doctors and they all just told him he was going to have to live with it. No one could tell him anything. Yeah. Are you kidding? And so that morning when dad was sitting there, I said, hey, you know what? Let's try a patch on you. And he said, I thought the patch was for Parkinson's. And I said, I have no idea what the patch is for. I said, but if it did that to mom and she's walking without the walker, I said, maybe it'll help your legs. I said, it's worth a shot. We've tried so many other modalities,
Wow.
And we put a patch on my father, Paula, and these legs were actually 24 hours later. So literally it was like a switch in his body. I came back the next morning. He opened the front door. I looked down. The chicken legs were back. Praise the Lord. And he kind of turned around real nonchalantly and he said, looks like I wasted a lot of money on doctor's appointments. Where can I get some more of those patches? And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I saw my first and second miracle were my two aging parents. And the Lord woke me up on actually July 3rd of 2022 and said, literally in my sleep, I was coming out of my slumber just thanking God that I was able to sleep because I had not slept in 9 months. This is like mid-pandemic, right? Where I don't know if it's the 5G. I don't know if it's my mind is racing, the stress of it all. I just hadn't slept in 9 months, which I think a lot of people experience that. And here it was, the fourth day of wearing this X39 patch. I slept through the night. And so I literally woke up and I was thinking, thank you, Lord, for rest. And I was laying there and the Holy Spirit, I believe, said to me, you're stepping into an abundant season of miracles. And I sat on the edge of the bed and I just kind of thanked God again. And again, you're entering an abundant season of miracles. And that is exactly what happened. Paula, I could show you thousands of these kinds of pictures. I could, they always say facts tell, stories sell. I've got 40,000 people on my team now from around the world, Robin being one of them. And the things that are happening on her team are miraculous. But this was my friend Penny's hands. She actually had a wicked chemotherapy about 7 years ago, had been living with those hands ever since. She saw the picture of my dad's legs on social media and what happened with him. And she said, Renita, do you think it will help my hands? And I said to Penny, Penny, it's worth a shot. There's a money back guarantee. Try it. I mean, you've got nothing to lose. If it doesn't work, get your money back, right? And so that was, Penny sent me this picture on the right 5 days later, Paula. In 5 days, it did that. And she said, I'm going to tell the world about these patches. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And here you kind of see the fingertips. And here you can see how that has healed. So again, we are so blessed to be able to share phototherapy. And just like you, talking about alternative modalities, whether it's mold or all these different things that people struggle with, and they don't know that they just have any options outside of the medical system. I honestly don't think too many people are familiar with phototherapy, which is why it's such a big mission for me at this point, because we know nutrition. We know we should change our nutrition, right? We know fitness, like you got to get your body moving. But a lot of people have not learned. I mean, their doctor is not talking to them about phototherapy. And so this is something I saw just last week on our team, a gal from Montana, a friend of mine. This was her husband's hand. He got cut by rebar. And she called me and I said, put an X39 patch on one side of that cut and put an Eon on the other. This is the picture she's put on social media 24 hours later. I mean, it's almost unbelievable, right? It's almost unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
So our bodies are amazing healing machines. And the beautiful thing about this phototherapy technology, Paula, is it's not just for old, sick people. Okay.
Right.
I want everybody to know that, because sometimes people are like, well, I feel good. Like for me, I feel good. You probably feel pretty good. You're in the trenches. You're doing a lot of things right. And, but what I know is that for people that are looking for the competitive edge, and I'm telling you, what you're doing is making a dent. What people like you are doing is making a dent. There is a breakthrough happening with natural health and healing. I was on a Zoom meeting just this week with a large university here in the United States. If I named it, you guys would be like, really? This large university says we are sick of giving these kids ibuprofen and acetaminophen for acute injuries on the basketball team. Like, we want to learn about these patches. We want phototherapy. We want something non-invasive that's not destroying these kids' gut lining for years to come. Like, there are people in the establishments, you know, and like the guy said, he said, you know, I've been fighting it for 8 years. Universities are government run systems. He said, but I have now got hyperbaric, cryotherapy. He was naming all the modalities, and he said,
Right.
we will go first with light therapy. We will be happy to introduce this technology to our athletes. So breakthrough is happening, not just like if you're really sick, but also even for like the competitive edge, right? So for people that are looking for like, hey, I'm well, but I want to stay that way, right? Or I want to recover faster with my workouts. Just because of my, I'm getting older doesn't mean I want to feel older, right?
Right.
And so the
You want
breakthroughs
energy too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And so, have you been patched yet? So Paula, have you worn the patches yet? That's my question.
No, not yet.
Oh, girl, we got to get some patches on you. I think just
know.
in combination what you have going on, it would just be a total blessing to you. But, it really helps to elevate our health, activate our stem cells, and regenerate our bodies. And Paula, you could speak to this too. We're kind of in a time where there's like a major chasm going on between like East and West, and the traditional juggernaut medical system of pills for ills and slicing and dicing and toxic chemicals like chemo. So that's one side, and then there's this other side happening called regenerative medicine. And regenerative medicine are these practitioners, these integrated physicians, these chiropractors, these naturopaths, people who are actually saying the body is a healing machine, can regenerate. Let's just give it the tools to do so. Right. So there's this major kind of black and white thing happening right now where literally I feel like one side is getting darker and the other side is getting lighter, right? The regenerative medicine side is getting really exciting because we see so many amazing healing modalities coming into the marketplace. Like I said, I'm sure you're talking about these with your guests, right? Because it's exciting. It's exciting, right? And so I thought I would explain a little bit about the background of David Schmidt and kind of how the company started, unless you have specific questions that
please
ask.
do. Yeah, I'm sure people want to know what this is all about. A little bit about
the background of phototherapy. So first of all, the best example and the free example I can give you of phototherapy is us walking out into the sunlight. Now, I'll be honest, I'm in North Dakota and we haven't seen the sun in 14 days up here. So we know that there's weather modification happening galore. Literally, I have not seen a glimpse of sunlight in 14 days. It's crazy up here. But we also know that our governor was college roommates with Bill Gates. So there's something happening that's crazy up here. But we also found out those planes that are coming out into the atmosphere, spraying all these trails, are being launched out of Fargo, North Dakota. They have ads. They have ads hiring. Yeah, you can literally go to pilots. They're searching for pilots flying out of Fargo, North Dakota, that are literally the people spraying these skies. Can you imagine? So it's real close to home here, Paula. But bottom line is light heals.
Yes, it does.
Which is why they want to block it. And so you look at the sunlight. When we go out in the sun, that is a bioelectrical or bioenergetic response that it's doing to our bodies. Like, we don't go out on our front porches and stand in the sun and open our mouths and the vitamin D falls in.
No.
Right? That's not how it happens. What happens is we expose our eyes. That's why I say take the sunglasses off. Our eyes, our skin gets exposed to the sun. It creates different things with the epidermis and the melanin and all those things that are happening. And our body actually internally creates vitamin D3. Right? So that bioelectrical or bioenergetic response is creating a biochemical inside. Isn't that cool? So we're really moving into a time where I feel like with medicine and healthcare, especially not medical care, but healthcare, it's going to be sound, light, frequencies, water, like, of course, food, because that's like, food first, right? But the bottom line is we're moving into a time where all of these energetic realms that are non-invasive, that are incredibly effective, we have not been trained that we are light beings. And I'm here to tell you, Paula, we are made of light. And how you know that is, like, if you put the night goggles on that the military has and you look around, you can see people because they're emitting infrared light. right?
Mhm.
A pit viper snake, that's how they see the humans, is that pit viper snake looks out and they can sense infrared and they see those humans walking around. Isn't this crazy? And so the bottom line is infrared, we're all emitting a low infrared light frequency. We are light beings. And I am a Christian telling you that, right?
Right.
Some people think, oh, that's weird, Renita. No. We're 98.7 degrees. It's heat. Heat
Yeah.
emits light. Okay. So, I mean, that's the simplest way to understand it. But this David Schmidt, 20 years ago, he was contracted by the Navy SEALs, and they said, let's find a way to keep our Navy SEALs alert and awake during Hell Week, so they're not getting fatigued. And, there's a lot of accidents and things like that happen. These guys have to stay up for like 24 hours at a time on these missions, right? And so they contracted David Schmidt, and he doesn't believe in chemicals, Paula. So he doesn't believe in caffeine or ephedra or amphetamines or like anything that's going to like stimulate the sport, the heart, and then there's a crash. And so long story short, he created a phototherapy patch. I actually have it on my body right now. It's called Energy Enhancer is the name of it. It's the first patch created by David Schmidt. All of the patches are phototherapy, as it says here. So none of the patches are transdermal. None of them. So every patch you wear, nothing leaches from the patch into the skin. I mean, nothing. What's happening is the patch is laid on the skin. Your body heat hits the patch. That body light hits the patch. And depending on what's in the patch, which are natural ingredients, water, salt, sugar, amino acids that are all inside those polymers, when that light hits it from your body, it reflects back into the body different frequencies of light that activate different healing mechanisms and different peptides. So amazing technology. It worked. The Navy SEALs did awesome. The next group of people that heard about this energy enhancer, by the way, I should say this, it works through fat oxidation. And I've been a personal trainer for like 25 years, right? People always come to me because they're trying to lose fat. Well, this literally uses your own fat for fuel. So when you put this patch on, it actually, if you go out and go for a walk, Paula, or go to the gym and work out, you burn 30% more calories from fat with this patch on during a workout. So that's how the Navy SEALs were able to stay like alert and awake during Hell Week. It wasn't giving them chemicals. It was simply using fat oxidation. It was using their own body fat for fuel so they could keep that balanced, stable energy. And so really interesting technology. But then David Schmidt was called by Stanford University, one of the major swim coaches out there. He's been world renowned for female athletics. They called and said, hey, come on out. Our girls are not doing as well as we'd like. And we're trying to qualify for the Olympic swim team. No one's done it yet. So David Schmidt flew out to Stanford University, started patching the female swimmers at Stanford. In 1 week, Paula, all of the swimmers had broke their personal records and 4 had qualified for the Olympic swim team in 1 week.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where the technology started. But fast forward, David in 2008 said, you know what, we're going to start really specializing in age reversal. Not only age reversal, but disease reversible, right? Because a lot of, we call them the diseases of aging. We can talk about that all day long, right? Metabolic syndrome, diabetes, arthritis, like all these diseases of aging. And so he said in 2008, let's focus on stem cell research. Is there a way that we can activate our stem cells with light? How cool is this? Not with the needle, because with needle, we know that's very expensive, right? $10,000, $20,000. You got to go back for multiple visits. It doesn't always work when you get stem cell injections. There's a risk of infection. And probably the biggest thing that I have is what's in the needle. Like, what are they injecting me with, right? And so for me, that's never been an option, And so what happened is in 2008, he said, there's got to be a way to activate this internal workings of the body to activate our own stem cells. And he actually came across a peptide, Paula. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called GHKCU. Have you ever heard of that peptide?
That one, no.
So, but you know about peptides, right? Because they're like in the marketplace, and it's kind of like the anti-aging secrets, right? These peptides. But there's a great book. It's called the GHKCU copper peptide, and it's by this Dr. Lauren Picard. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about GHKCU. Nothing. I mean, I was very knowledgeable in the areas that I knew about, but like the old saying goes, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I knew nothing about the GHKCU peptide. And so when I realized I got this book, the second day I was with LifeWave, there was a medical doctor. He said, everybody should read this book so they understand this peptide, what it can do for the body. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy the book. Like, I love to read. And so I'm just going to read a couple from the back of the book here, what this peptide does. So your viewing
Yes.
audience is aware. It's so cool. So by the way, it was discovered in 1973. So 51 years ago, Paula. Like I was saying, it takes a long time for it to get to the masses. Right? Like 51 years ago, they discovered this peptide. When they discovered the GHKCU peptide, they found it was the #1 thing for COPD or acute lung injury, which all of us need right now. And it was the #1 thing for stomach cancer. And so anyway, but it talks about it all in the book. But bottom line is what it does is tightens loose skin, thickens older skin, repairs protective skin barriers, reduces photo damage. Like I had a big old liver spot on my cheek over here. And I have girlfriends that were estheticians and they would microdermabrasion it off and a week later it'd be back. And I would always tell my husband, well, that's got to be an inside job. You know, my livers must be hurting. Anyway, and so it protects the skin from UV radiation, according to this Picard, protects the body from disease, according to this research. The GHKCU peptide fights pain and anxiety, increases nerve outgrowth, and strongly affects 700 nervous system genes. 700 nervous system genes. Activates genes of ubiquitin proteasome system for the cell cleansing. It actually helps our body, Paula, to detoxify more effectively, which is what I think happened with my dad's legs. I always thought my dad was caught like in a detox cycle where it was like the cog on a wheel and he just couldn't get over it, right? It was like oozing and goozing for 6 months.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my Nana had that and she had congestive heart failure. So she had to wrap her legs with, bandages. And of course, guess what would happen? It would scab over. It was the most, thankfully, I didn't change the bandages. But, there were times I was in the room, like my mom had to help her or, whatever. And it was like, oh my God, I can only feel that pain.
Yeah, the interesting thing, when you say that, so my dad, after wearing the patches for 2 months, we took him back to Mayo Clinic. And they told him in the Bismarck Hospital about a year earlier, he did have congestive heart failure, but nobody said that those legs were due to the congestive heart failure. 12 doctors, and no one mentioned that.
I could tell as soon as I looked at him. I'm like, that's what my Nana had.
Yeah. So 2 months later, we go back to Mayo Clinic. Remember, the next day, his legs dried up and they never oozed again. Within 5 weeks, he was off of all of his blood pressure medication, all of it. Anyway, go back to Mayo Clinic. And Mayo Clinic, 8 weeks after my dad was wearing X39, said, we are not sure why it says congestive heart failure on your medical records. We are removing it from your medical records. You have no symptoms of congestive heart failure. So I'm thinking, did the patch do that? I mean, it's just amazing, right? Like, did the Bismarck clinics get it wrong? But now when you're saying that, I'm like, maybe they got it right. Maybe if you can look at that and identify that, Paula, it probably was congestive heart failure.
Same thing. Her legs would ooze. She couldn't, they were blown up. They would just ooze water.
Miserable.
The fluid retention was from the heart.
Yeah. So imagine 2 months, literally they took congestive heart failure off of his thing. So yeah, hey, thanks for sharing that. I never even put that 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, exactly.
No medical community, no one in the medical community mentioned that. They didn't say, well, it's just congestive heart failure, none of that. But back to this David Schmidt. You get the point. On here, it's in this book, it's the #1 thing. This peptide is the #1 thing to repair damaged DNA. I mean, it's crazy to know this stuff. It is the GHKCU peptide causes the differentiation of unused stem cells in the body. The GHKCU peptide causes adult stem cells to produce more growth factor, Paula. So on and on we go. It's the #1 thing, like he says, it restores healthy lung function in COPD patients. It protects lung tissue after acute lung injury, increases the healing of skin, stomach, intestine lining, bony tissue. I mean, I could go on and on, but if you're interested in it, I mean, the book is phenomenal. And this guy literally was the guy who discovered, they call it the holy grail of anti-aging, the GHKCU peptide. But so David Schmidt, like I said, he was on a mission to say, how can we activate stem cells with light, with a patch, not with a needle? And he spent 10 years and $4.5 million to bring the X39 patch to market. And so X39 is the patch that I started my mom with. It's the patch I started my dad with. It's the patch it's the patch I start everyone with, Paula. But
Right.
you need the X39 because that's where you begin, because this is what the patent says. Now, this David Schmidt, he's got over 130 patents and 90 clinical studies. So this patch business is not like hearsay. Like, we're not keeping our fingers crossed thinking, well, I hope this thing works. It's literally got 90 clinical studies and 130 patents. But the patent that he got specifically for X39, it says an apparatus that causes a beneficial effect, at least by providing phototherapy, light therapy, to a human body. And for example, in some embodiments, as a result of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, improvements in energy, elevation of antioxidants, reduction in inflammation, management of pain, improvements in stamina, elevation of collagen production, and improved wound healing. It's pretty safe to say that there's someone watching that has probably multiple of those things, right, Paul? I mean, the people are just hurting and they're looking and seeking solutions. So we found it with the X39. It was amazing how it works. It's, like I said, it's a proprietary form of phototherapy, so it is patented. It's nanocrystal technology that never gets into the skin. It just lays on top of the skin, and your own body, heat and light reflects it back in. Non-transdermal, no drugs, chemicals, or stimulants. There's nothing in the patch that can possibly harm you or hurt you. Non-invasive. So all of the patches that David's created, none of them are transdermal, which means, there's like nicotine patches and there's like pain patches where the material leaches into the skin. We are not that patch. All of our patches are simply activated by our own body light. It's wild. So lots of amazing things. I could go on and on all day, but literally increased strength, mental clarity. My mom, in 2 months, she went back to the dentist, and the dentist called me because she had been dealing with a periodontal disease for 6 years. And he called me and he said, the dentist said on the phone, Renita, what on earth did you do to your mother's mouth? What happened to her teeth? What did you do? He said, I had to bring in my staff because her mouth looks like a different set of teeth. He's like, the periodontal disease, he's like, everything is like not what it was. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, you're never going to believe it. We've been putting this patch on her. And he's like, I'm going to need this patch. So that whole dental clinic signed up for the patch. And so,
and Renita, in Lyme disease, you might already know this, the disease affects the mouth. It gets inside the gums. Those spirochetes in Lyme disease get in the gums. So those patches could really help.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that with mom, I look at just the whole healing journey that she's been on, and we've spent a lot of time, energy, and money on nutritional supplements and, lots of modalities, homeopathic remedies. They're all amazing. I always feel like if you're doing something, just do the next right thing, right? Like just keep moving forward on that healing journey. But I'll tell you what, for bang for the buck, for $100 a month for these LifeWave patches, no question, hands down, like this is the king of the crop. There's nothing else that even came close to $100 investment, right? Like I told you earlier, like we've got, I've got a $20,000 light therapy bed. I've got, lasers. The thing with all of that stuff, Paula, too, which is so interesting, all of that stuff requires a 110 volt or 220 volt to plug it into. Like my infrared sauna needs plugging, right? So like all of these things that are these modalities, the interesting thing about the patches, you're the plug-in. Literally, you can take this patch with you anywhere. And actually, the guy, the university athletic director that I was talking to said, Renita, I love this because, when our boys are on the home court, they can use our modalities of healing, like the cryo chamber and like the hyperbaric and all that. He said, but when they're traveling on the road, which is a lot, he said, they can't take a lot of these modalities of healing with them. He said, so this patch would be perfect to take with them when they are at these away games and things like that. I said, exactly, because you don't need you just need to put them in your bag and take them with you, right? Put them in the gym bag. So really, really easy technology. But I have a couple more slides. And then if you want to get into asking some questions about it, I'd be happy to answer. But so again, first few days, according to this Dr. Lauren Picard, the guy who discovered the GHKCU peptide, he basically tells you 4,000 genes are resetting within the first couple days. So I think a lot of people are familiar with like blueberries and grapes and how there's, an antioxidant that a lot of people say, oh my gosh, like I need more of that antioxidant because it affects genes, right? We've all heard of that. And you look at some of those antioxidants and they're very good, but like in the case of blueberries and grapes, it's literally like 2 genes. In our case, it's 4,000 genes are affected, right?
Wow.
By, with resveratrol, I'm not saying it's bad, it's good, but it affects 2 genes. Resveratrol affects 2 genes. With the GHKCU peptide, it affects 4,000 genes. Wow, right? So within 6 weeks, we see a lot of good brain activity, and I'm sure it's because it's helping to balance the nervous system, which I feel like after the last 5 years of torture, everybody needs more of that. And then within 3 months, the collagen is increasing. So people literally look visibly younger. People say it to me all the time, Rita, you look like 10 years younger. I'm like, well, I am wearing the patch. But within 6 months, this is interesting, Paula, talking about heart health and talking about my dad going to Mayo Clinic 2 months later, and they told him he no longer has congestive heart failure. Was it the patch? I don't know. But what the GHK peptide, in this book, it talks about this. It actually says that the GHKCU peptide will actually reduce fibrinogen levels. Fibrinogen levels has been like a buzzword in the last couple of years because fibrinogen is the top predictor of heart disease and heart attacks in our body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep, it's the number one thing to predict basically heart disease. And everybody with this dang, the whole botch job of everything, this virus and the poke and everything, people's fibrinogen levels are terrible. They're off the charts high. And so what this GHKCU peptide does, Paula, is it actually naturally reduces fibrinogen levels. So within 6 months of people wearing the patch, in my dad's case, it was 2 months, but within 6 months, we literally see these massive, incredible miracle changes with heart health. And again, we can't make medical claims. I can't tell you the patch is going to do anything for you, but because that would be against the law. But what I can tell you is your body was designed by God to heal. And when you give it the right nutrients and the right light and the right frequencies, your body's a pretty awesome healing machine. And so, David Schmidt says this is not anti-aging, it's actually age reversal. So you wear the patch 12 hours on, Paula, and 12 hours off. So you can just put it underneath your belly button or at the base of your neck. Or in my mom and dad's case, I didn't know where to put it. So I just threw it on their shoulder. So the funny thing about the patch is it is systemic. So you cannot get it wrong. Like if you put it, you say, Renita, I've got sciatic nerve pain. We'll put it there. If you've got a shoulder injury, put it there. You really can't put the patch in the wrong spot. It's impossible. Because with the patch, those stem cells that are activated are going to go to the area of greatest need in the body. Most people don't know that in the body, when you have inflammation eats up our stem cells like a Pac-Man. And so people are sitting in chronic, let's say chronic Lyme, chronic anything, chronic autoimmune diseases. Their bodies are being constantly depleted of stem cells because of that chronic level of inflammation sitting in the body. So what I tell people is you got to make sure when you wear this patch, wear it 12 hours on, take it off for 12 hours, like while you're sleeping. Put a fresh patch back on the next morning. The patch actually comes like in a little thing like this, Paula, and inside you're going to get 30 different patches in there. So the patch is like that, and you literally are going to just put it on your body anywhere. And so it's that easy to use. Drink more water because your body may start to detoxify. We always know we want more fluids to flush those cells. And I am a crazy believer. If people follow me on social media, you will get an earful about electrolytes and how electrolytes, literally our entire body is a grid of electricity, which is why if you die, they jumpstart you with electrical panels, right? Our body is electrical in nature, and those buggers told us to stop eating salt. It is the craziest thing on the planet. As soon as you start eating salt, your body starts functioning at a higher frequency. There's something called hydrochloric acid, which is literally made from salt. Wonder why everybody's guts are wrecked, because they told people not to eat salt. And I'm not talking like, the Morton's crappy iodized salt, because that only has 2 minerals. I'm talking like Celtic salt or a Redmond's real salt, right? A Redmond's real salt is really awesome, where you've got all of those minerals and trace minerals in it. That actually balance the blood pressure of the body, right? That was something that we did with my dad. Not only were we patching, Paula, I had him start eating pinches of salt. And he's like, are you sure about this? I'm like, I'm positive, and let's increase your potassium too. And so we started eating avocados every day. right? Avocado sprinkled with Celtic salt, make some guacamole. Come on, call it a Mexican dance. I don't know. And once you know it, the combination of that, really watching dad's electrolytes and patching, I mean, within 5 weeks, he was completely off of his blood pressure medication. All three of them were gone, you know, and I mean, it was
Wow.
just incredible to witness. So again, electrolytes are electrically charged minerals. And if people are fatigued, tired, or lethargic, it tells me they're electrolyte insufficient. They
Mm,
need electrolytes. So yeah, the technology is so sophisticated, yet so simple. I mean, I always say, put a patch on and tell me what it does. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to do everything for everyone, but I'm going to tell you it will change your life. When you put the patch on, I mean, it will absolutely change your life. So I don't
yeah.
know. What other questions do you have about it? There's other patches
Let's see if
outside of
there.
X39, but I want to see what you have on your end.
Uh, well, let's talk about what I suffered from,
Yeah,
multiple food allergies. Have you
yeah,
seen that improve on anybody that's had? Because that's another
absolutely.
thing with autoimmune issues. I found out years later that the reason for my multiple food allergies was actually an autoimmune issue, but I had no idea what it was. So
Right.
have you seen that improve on people?
Yeah. So I think that when I think about the patch and what I've seen, I think overall inflammation
Yeah,
goes down, right? And so,
right.
you know, chronic anything. There's one patch that I should talk about. It's called the Eon patch. And the Eon patch. So let's talk about this for a second. To answer your question, yes, yes, I've seen multiple food allergies. I mean, even with pets. So the patches are good for pets as well. People put them on
Mm-hmm.
their dogs who have food sensitivities. We've got a golden doodle who's super sensitive. And when she has any sensitivity, maybe she eats something off the floor or gets something wrong, I literally not only put an X39 patch on her, I put one of the patches called Eon. And I want to talk for a second just about the Eon patch, because Eon is an incredible patch that, I mean, it's just real. Let me pull this up so you guys can see that. Can you see the all products flyer there? You
Mm-hmm.
see that, Paula? Okay, so
Yes.
this is called the Eon patch. And actually, it's really cool because you integrate a little bit of Chinese medicine with these patches as well. So do you see the pressure points here? It literally shows you where to put the patch. See that
Right.
so under the belly button. So all of these mean something in the realm of meridians and Chinese medicine. And so they literally are showing you where to put it. But this Eon, like it says here, Eon reduces inflammation, cortisol, C-reactive protein, exactly what we're talking about. When you have an autoimmune issue, your CRP are high, right? Your levels of inflammation in the body are high. And so what this Eon patch actually does is within 15 to 30 minutes of putting it on, Paula, it pulls the body from a sympathetic nervous state back to a parasympathetic nervous state. And
Hmm.
so something that most people, most doctors, you'll never hear this from your doctor, by the way. Your doctor will never say to you, we've got to pull the body out of the sympathetic state and get it to a parasympathetic state so you can heal. They'll just prescribe you another medication, which makes you
Which they
more
did
in a
30
cortisol
years
state.
later.
Yeah, every medication they put you on makes you more cortisol driven because it's a chemical. They're giving you a chemical, right? They're trying to regulate your nervous system with a chemical. It's so crazy. And so what happens with the Eon patch clinically, when people put this patch on in 15 to 30 minutes, and they've got, again, numerous clinical studies to show you like thermography, Paula. So you've seen thermographic, you know, when people get
Yeah.
where it's red and inflamed and really fired up. And in literally 15 minutes, they do another thermogram and you can see all of the red is gone. I mean, gone. So it takes that body from that sympathetic to a parasympathetic state. And I always tell people it's like this. If you said, okay, I'm going to go change the oil in my car, and you go to the garage and the car is running and there's a brick on the gas pedal, okay, are you just going to open up the hood and start changing the oil?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
Paula. I'd go into the car, I'd pull the brick off the gas pedal, and I'd shut the car off, right? And so that is like our bodies. Our bodies will not and cannot heal if they are in that sympathetic state. They cannot heal. And it's so interesting because I want to give you an example of this that you'll appreciate. If there's any dog lovers that watch your show, this Eon patch, by the way, they call it a longevity patch because not only does it balance the nervous system. It elevates superoxide dismutase, which helps the body to appropriately detox. And remember, it does this all with light. Like there is, nothing is transdermally coming into the skin. But let me tell you what happened with our dog. We have a golden doodle, Nike, and she is wild, this dog. And she got hit by a truck when she was younger. Yep. And she was literally bleeding out of every orifice, the mouth, the nose. I mean, we didn't think she was going to make it. We scooped her up out of the parking lot and we drove Mach 80 to the veterinarian clinic. And when I got there, he took an x-ray of her. And on the way there, I said to the boys, my kids were in the car, and I said, take your patches off your body and put it into Nike. Bring light into her body. Her body is darkening. It's like she was dying, And I said, put the patches on her all over. So my boys were pulling their patches off their neck and they were putting it on the dog. And we got there and Nike was kind of laying on the ground and blood. And all of a sudden the vet comes in and Nike stands up. And the vet is like, how in the world is that dog standing? Right? And so we carried her in, we got an x-ray, and he said, nothing is broken, but her lungs are full of blood clots from the impact of the truck. And so he said, I'm going to be honest with you guys, she could die suddenly within the next 24 hours because of all those blood clots. If they dislodge, like she could die. So he's kind of preparing us. And he said, I also measured her liver enzymes, and her liver enzymes are through the roof. And he said, anytime an animal has trauma, their liver enzymes are through the roof. And I'm thinking, welcome to America, the land of trauma with the mainstream media. And so when he said that, I thought, wow, that's interesting. And I said, so he goes, if we can get, this is exactly what the vet taught me. He said, Renita, if we can get Nike's liver enzymes to come down, he said, if we can pull her body from a sympathetic state back to a parasympathetic state, it's likely that she'll live. And I said, oh my God, I got a patch that can do that. He goes, a patch? I said, yeah. I said, what do you know about phototherapy? He said, actually, in veterinary medicine, we do use phototherapy. I said, we have a patch. And so he said, we're going to leave her at the overnight. We're going to give her saline water, which is salt water, because that electrolytes, right. There it is. And I said, I'm going to run home and grab some patches. And I came back, and Paula, I put the Eon patch over her whole spine, on the back hip. I put an X39 on the neck, and we didn't know. We just prayed and we left there. And the next morning they called and they said, well, you can come pick her up at 11. And I said to the boys, I don't know if we get there, and we're probably going to have to carry her out. I mean, she stood yesterday, but she couldn't, she couldn't walk.
Right.
And so we got there. The vet opens the door. Nike comes running out and jumps on us. And the vet goes, what on earth is in those patches? He said, I have never seen a dog recover like this. He said, her liver enzymes all are normal this morning. And I thought, well, that's because I put 5 or 6 Eon patches on her. So the Eon pulls the body from the sympathetic back to the parasympathetic, which ultimately will even help your liver enzymes. This is crazy stuff, Paula, with light. This is not a medication. This is not even a food. This is wild. So my point is if we're wanting to heal, whether it's in your case, Lyme's or food allergies or food sensitivities, we've got to pull the body. The body's in a hyperactive state. Adrenaline is high generally when you're having an autoimmune breakout, right? I had a girlfriend who had lupus, and her lupus, she had lupus sores all over her body all the time. I mean, she was on 9 medications, and her husband was literally dressing this woman. She got on X39 and Eon, and in 30 days, she sent me a video of her dancing to Footloose. This is this woman, true story. And her and off of 9 meds in 1 month. And so again, all these meds that they're just pouring into people, it's making them more chronically inflamed. It's making more the nervous system response doesn't pull to parasympathetic. It's a sympathetic response when you're given poison. Every time you're given poison, the body doesn't say, oh, I'm
gut.
Yeah, especially the gut, because we know everything's linked to the gut. So, I mean, I could talk about this technology and health all day. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about it, but
it's fascinating. So one other question I thought of, tell us about menopause. So many people, they get the night sweats and can't sleep and all those wonderful symptoms.
Great question. So the thing I can tell you is that again, it goes back to some of these Chinese meridians. And I always tell women, it's interesting that they never taught us about our bodies. We homeschool our kids. I teach my kids Chinese medicine meridian points. You know why? Because I'm like, listen, you got to live in this body for the rest of your life. I want you guys to understand how it works, right? But what I would suggest for anything night sweat, hot flash, anything PCOS related, I would definitely suggest the Eon. Again, you're going to pull it back into that parasympathetic state. We need that first. We need to take the brick off the gas pedal first, right? And then I would definitely suggest the X39. And the place I would put it, Paula, I'm going to pull my leg up here. Got good flexibility, is literally like about 3 finger widths on the up above that ankle bone. So on your ankle bone, just put your finger 3 finger widths like that, and put the X39 patch right there. And when you do that, I mean, that is a very specific area for female health, hormonal health. You're going to see some really good, I've had girlfriends actually that say, Renita, like, you know, day 2 on the patch, no more night sweats, no more hot flashes. I can tell you what it did for my cycle, if it's not TMI for some people. My whole life, I kind of dealt with a blood clot issues. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't even wear tampons because I had so much blood clots coming out of me every month of my cycle. I'll never forget the first month I had X39 on, and I got my cycle, and there was no more blood clots. It was like the most red, beautiful blood that you've ever seen in your life. I was never so happy to see red, beautiful blood as that. And I said to my husband, holy cow, this did something to my whole system. Because for 20 some years, I've dealt with like blood clots, like, you know what I mean? And anyway, long story short, it did something where it kind of levelized the flow of everything, like the frequency state of my body. So no more clots at all. In fact, it's so funny because I would usually know about 2 days before my period that my period was coming. And, you know, the first time when I was wearing the patches, I was standing in Target. I said to my husband, I think I just got my period. He's like, how did you just get your period? He said, I thought you normally, you know, are like stomach and, you know, PMS symptoms. He goes, and he said, I said, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I went to the bathroom. I'm like, go buy a box, you know, go get a box of pads. I literally got my period. So the bottom line is so for me, it was like that hard, like that, you know, I felt like my whole system was like, I was aggravated with that cycle, and it just was like smooth. So that was X39 alone. I wasn't even wearing Eon at the time. I didn't know about it. X39 alone changed my cycles. So I hope it does that for people who try the patch as well. But yeah, we could talk about all, there's so many great patches, and this is like a 1-page flyer, Paula, that kind of explains every one of them. We talked about glutathione a little bit on the front end, and I had a friend of mine who actually, like I said, had Lyme's and had been literally doctoring for years to no avail. And she's got on the glutathione patch. X39 always. So when I start people on the patches, I always automatically, the first patch I tell them is X39. And then we decide, do they need 1 or 2 of the other patches? Let's figure it out. But X39 is what she was on. Start there. You don't know where to start, X39. And then I said, you know what? Let's try the glutathione. And she said, okay, so her regimen, what she decided to do, she said, I'm going to commit to this for 90 days and see if my blood work changes, see if anything changes. And she literally started getting 1 glutathione intravenously a week at like a local IV clinic. And then she started wearing the glutathione patch every single day, in addition to the X39. And 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And something about the glutathione patch, Paula, is it actually increases your glutathione measurable by blood 300% in 24 hours. And to put that in perspective, if you guys are familiar with NAC, N-acetylcysteine, or, you know, like a precursor to glutathione, NAC will increase your glutathione 13 to 14% in 30 days. 13 to 14% in 30 days of taking NAC, okay? If you take glutathione, there's lots of controversy in the health realm that it's not even absorbing. It's not even getting to your stomach because of the pH. So people that take glutathione orally, it's like not even getting there. I got friends that inhale it, you know, and doing different things. The crazy thing is with this patch, when you put it on, within 24 hours, not 30 days, you know, 30 days, 13% increase. Within 24 hours with our glutathione patch, you have in 24 hours, a 300% elevation in glutathione in the body. So,
Yeah.
wow, what a mechanism as the master antioxidant to literally help that body to do what it was due to, to detox and repair itself. So I love the glutathione patch. It's such an awesome patch. So anyway, my friend that had Lyme's did that. 60 days later, literally my text message inbox says, you're never going to believe it. They tested me today. I am completely clear of Lyme's. I'm 100% symptom free. She said,
Wow.
this is what I was doing. And I was like, wow. And I actually think I put that testimony on social media because Lyme's is a lot of people, it's kind of a silent thing that a lot of people are not familiar with or they don't talk about. Their primary care physicians don't know enough about it, So
And
yeah,
yeah,
so
put
there's even
that in
hope for those people.
perspective. Like we talked about before we came on the show, I went to not Central Mass. I worked with Central Mass Lyme Foundation, but I also went to conference for ILADS in Philadelphia a few years back, and that stands for International Lyme Association Disease Society, with all the medical doctors that know about Lyme disease, study Lyme disease. They're all professional and well known.
Yeah.
And one of the words that kept coming up was glutathione. That was like something they were studying. They all agreed upon that was something that could help with Lyme disease. And let me tell you, that was a few years back, and they were studying the drugs that could help with Lyme, so that definitely.
The natural way that you can increase your own glutathione production is eat asparagus every day. When you eat asparagus, it actually increases your own glutathione production, but most people cannot keep up with the level
Right,
of
with the
asparagus
amount,
they'd
yeah.
have. Yeah, they couldn't eat enough to
Absolutely.
really get those levels to where they need to be to properly detoxify. So the patch is a great solution. Every time I fly, because I feel like every time you go anywhere, everybody's coughing and sick, I
Right.
literally wear a glutathione patch right here, right? Like under my thyroid. Literally at that point in Chinese medicine, it's a very powerful point to help the body detox. So I literally put a glutathione patch right there every single. Yeah, so I just, again, the patches are so incredibly easy to use. You just take the back off like that.
Yeah.
Super easy. And then I just literally right underneath there is where I wear it. And I love it. I mean, it helps. I feel like it's like cheap protection when you fly and travel or when you're around groups of people that are sick. It's like, okay, like I'm going to wear this patch. So easy solution to increase my own glutathione 300% I'm in, naturally, again, with light, non-invasive. The glutathione patch is actually $60 a month. So if you wore it every day for 30 days, it's only $60. So really, I think the affordability, bless you. I think affordability is really key with all this too. People can do things long-term if it's simple and affordable. If it's too, I see all these protocols to detox from the vaccine or whatever. And sometimes I'm like, okay, it's 8 pages long in 8 font. Like, I'm not sure if a 72-year-old can do this. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always said you can give the best workout or the best nutrition plan in the world. And you know this, Paula, but if adherence is not there, if someone is not doing it, it's nothing changes. Nothing changes. So what I love too about the patches is really not only the simplicity and affordability, it is easy. It is easy. And people can stick with easy long-term, which is really cool. But I was going to show you Robin's website just in case anybody
I was going to say, tell us a little bit
that.
about Robin before we wrap it up.
Yes. So Robin is incredible. Robin is on my team she's from actually down in California. And she got started because her mom was diagnosed with cancer. And Robin had a lot of stuff going on with herself. She had unfortunately had all of the vaccines. Of course, this is before anybody knew better. And she was in the health realm. So she was a hygienist. So where she was at working, she was actually required to get it if she wanted to, hang on to her job, like so many people, unfortunately. And so after Robin had all these vaccines, and she had many bouts with COVID, of course, and she had kind of a, long haulers, if you want to call it that, there's just fuzzy, brain fog, achy, never recovering, had gained all this weight, just never really feeling very well, right? And so somebody said to her, called her up, her aunt called her up, and said, our friend, I think it was, called her up and said, hey, you should try this patch. And Robin's like, I'll try anything at this point because she was open. Why? Because she was in struggle mode, suffering. Some people, I always feel like, I always tell people, if you don't want to try something new, maybe you're not sick enough yet. Right. But anyway, so Robin got on the patch and literally the first day, like the brain fog lifted, that kind of low grade headache went away, the aches and pains. Like she said, literally 24 hours later, she said out loud to herself what was in that patch to make me feel this amazing, right?
Mhm.
And so that's kind of how she stepped into the business herself. And then, of course, was patching her mom with the cancer. She got her aunt involved. Now that, I mean, wow, that aunt that's on her team, they have so many incredible people that have, I'm not kidding, Paula, thousands and thousands of testimonies.
Amen.
So
Yeah.
we get to see it all. But
Yeah.
Robin is just a winner of a champion for health. This woman
Mhm.
is. But anyway, her website there is lifewave.com. I kind of put it up there if you can see it, /patched by Robin. And then you'll see her name there, Robin Yamamoto. And so Robin is just an amazing health advocate for everyone, you know, and
Yeah.
part of this happened, and part of her exposure to this was just trying to heal her own body, right? Like open
Right.
to, okay, I'm not familiar with light therapy. I'm not sure how much this little patch can do anything. And then bam, a miracle 24 hours later with her own physical health, right? And
Mm.
so because of that, she's actually been sharing the message and helping with so much others. And I'm a business partner with her. So she said, hey, can you get on with Paula? I said, I'd love to.
Which we
And she's
appreciate. Yeah.
yeah, she's so busy with hockey with the boys, like with her son, right? She's always at hockey. But the bottom line is, she's a huge advocate, growing a huge team. And now there is an opportunity involved with this. When Robin got started, she was actually still at the dental office like every single day, right? And now she said, Renita, I maybe go in 2 days a month. When someone calls and they're sick or something, she said, but other than that, I'm just working LifeWave and patching people all around me. So she literally has made this plan B her plan A. Like she is
Right.
earning
Yeah.
really amazing income, and she's doing that by helping others. So yeah, her website is lifewave.com /patched PATCHED by Robin, ROBYN, and patched by Robin. And if you join her team, if you get started with at that website, you're actually part of our team. And I'll tell you what, we're a phenomenal team, Paula. We care deeply about health of people. Oh my gosh. Like we love getting people well and pulling them out of that, pit of
Yeah.
sickness and darkness and despair, and kind of helping to show the light that they can heal
Yeah.
their
Right.
bodies. So
Yeah.
we're very, very passionate about people's wellness and people's families getting well. So yeah, we love it. And if you guys have more questions, you can find me on social media too. Renita Roan Brannon is my name on social media, Renita Roan Brannon. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I know Robin absolutely would as well. But yeah, that's how you get started. If you want to go there and become a wholesale member, which I always tell people, wholesale is better than retail. We've got about 7 medical doctors in Bismarck that are an independent practice that sell the sleeves for $150 a sleeve. But when you go to Robin's website, lifewave.com /patched by Robin, ROBYN, and hit join, you're going to see the wholesale pricing, Paula. So
Okay.
very good deal. So you're not paying $150 per sleeve. In fact, if you start with a silver pack here, a silver is 3 sleeves of X39 for $300. So you're getting them for $100 a sleeve. Such a great deal. So
Okay.
just know that everybody has the option to buy at wholesale if that's what they want. You can buy a little, you can buy a lot. And the company does have a 90-day money back guarantee for all customers. And they have a 30-day money back guarantee for all brand partners. So
Wow.
really, I always say there's really no risk involved, just the risk of you losing some of your ailments.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So,
yeah. Well, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be here today. I appreciate it. Last but not least, I'm looking for more guests. So if you know anybody who, even if it's with LifeWave, if they have like a phenomenal story that needs to be heard, let me know, because people need their stories, whether it's Lyme disease, heart disease, allergies, whatever.
Yeah.
Even weight loss, diabetes. I mean, we could go on and on and on, but people
Yeah.
need those stories. They need hope. So I thank you for being here. So feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on social media under my name, Paula Denoncourt. So you can message me there, or info@enrichyourhealth.com. And that's what the U are, ENRICHURHALTH.com. If you're listening, you can just email me, or you can text me at 508-330-9665, and I'll get back to you. I might not be able to answer you right away, but I'll get back to you. So again, thank you so much, Renita, for being on today. I really appreciate it. This was a wealth of information, And I definitely do want to try the Pats myself and just really see how that goes. Oh, and last but not least, and you can be part of this too. I would love to have you there. I am getting started a virtual walking group. Okay.
Wow.
And what I really want to incorporate in that is prayer. So we walk and pray and hear God, because we really need to hear him more than ever, whether it's about our illnesses, whether it's about what we need to do for our career, whatever it is, we need to be hearing him and just thank him and worship and praise and
Thank you.
all of that. Pray for the world, whatever God leads you to pray for. But yes, it helps our health, but so much more. So it's a virtual walking club. It's called Order My Steps, and I started it on Facebook. We're just getting started, so would love to have you there to help motivate people, whatever you want to do. And we are going to start having like giveaways, and it might just be a random thing on a Friday, like whoever walked the most miles or whoever posted the most today. Like, no, there's not going to be a rhyme or reason, because I want people to it just be random. Like, you'll always be motivated. You know what I mean? Because you won't know if you'll get it. So it won't just be, oh, I have to do the most miles, like to get a prize. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I love it, Paul. Thank you for starting that. I feel like anything where it's a group setting and community, and the power of prayer, of course, is so powerful. And when you combine that with activity, wow, it's going to be a win-win. So looking forward to that.
I'm excited. Yeah. So thank you again. And we will see you next Sunday. Thank you, everybody.
All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.